Hi, and as you can tell by the title, we are going to discuss the local urban legend in my town, which has gotten really popular, especially around this time of year, because it's spooky month. Before I get into the story, if you want to see more videos like this and more of me, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. Now, hey, if you're new, my name is Elizabeth. So, we're going to get into the legend of the dog boy. Also, his name is Gerald Bettis. Gerald went to school with my mother, so she knew him very well. He is passed now. So, before we get into the actual facts of Gerald Bettis, I'm going to tell you the urban legend that's absolutely ridiculous. Mind you also that I live 2 blocks away from the dog boy house, and some of the stuff they say in this urban legend is definitely not true, because I've lived here for 30 years and none of this has ever actually happened. So let's get into this. The urban legend is that the dog boy is half man and half dog, and if you see him in the woods, you'll see him with stray dogs and cats. And if you see him, you better run, because he's coming to get you. But also, that if you walk by his house, you can see his glowing eyes out of the top window of the bedroom. None of this is true. None of this. He is not a werewolf character. He was an actual human being with actual feelings and actual needs. Now, I am going to tell you this, as some of the comments that I will get from describing them is going to be very crude, because I should not talk to people this way. And I don't mean to. Let's start that off right now. I do not mean to. This is literally stories from my mother and stories from around people. Now, people around town actually make him look way worse. Now, he did do bad things. This is the thing. This is going to be very triggering for some people. So if you cannot handle anything that I describe, because there will be some very messed up things, including sexual assault, drugs, and animal cruelty, you need to leave right now. Are you gone? Okay. Now those for you who stayed, let's get into it. Gerald Bettis grew up in a rural Arkansas town that I live right now, named Quitman, Arkansas. Gerald's parents, and I quote my mother because she says they were very backwards and no need, and I say this, no need to procreate, because apparently they were mentally retarded. Now, they are both passed now, so I don't know the full truth. I'm just telling you that this is what I have been told. And here we go. When Gerald approached school age, which is the age of 5, mind you, back in the 1950s and 60s, they did not have kindergarten. He went to school at 1st grade in diapers, carried a diaper bag, and he also had a bottle. This boy was never potty trained, so he already had a severe delay in child development, because at the age of 5, you should know how to potty train. And growing up, he had no friends, and the only person that was nice to him was my mom, which is kind of hard to believe sometimes, but he had no friends growing up. Everybody made fun of him. He was really smart, according to my mother, that he would purposely get Fs to have attention in school. So he would purposely look dumb so he can have attention from people, negative attention. Negative. Because they already knew he was smart, but he wanted to have some kind of gratification to someone outside of his home. Okay. He also used to, before he moved into town, and the house that people call the Dogboy house is 2 blocks from my home. I am not going to give you that address, but where he lived out originally was outside of town on Highway 25. His parents had a farm out there, and he would bring to school Indian artifacts. He found some kind of abandoned Indian village and would bring in pottery, spearheads, arrowheads, all sorts of stuff. But he would never tell anybody where he found it because he didn't want people going through and pillage through it. And to this day, we don't know where this village is at. And equipment is not very big. I'm telling you, population of 782 people. So, growing up in school, he had no friends. He had no one to correlate his feelings to. He had no one to have help with. And his parents, like I said, were apparently slow. And they did not know how to take care of a child properly. They did not know anything about child development. They knew how to survive. Also, Gerald's parents had Gerald later in life, that they were like in their late 40s when they had him. And nowadays people are like, well, people do that all the time. But here's the thing about that. If you have children later in life, the more likely they have a mental disability because the woman's body is not healthy enough. I mean, today we have vitamins and stuff, but back then, mind you, let's say he was born in 54, 55, so back then they didn't have the vitamins and the technology and the know-how to be super healthy as we do today. So I'm not bashing on anybody that has any kids later in life. I'm just saying then they did not have the information that we do now. So, also, when my mom told me about Gerald in high school, he was super smart, but he rode the fine line of genius and insanity, and he had like little nervous tics, and he would have major breakdowns. And the more I hear stories about him, not just from my mom, but from other people, it sounds like that he had a high-functioning autism, which also meant that he was not generally accepted because he was not normal. So let's get that into our brains right now, that he may have had a high-functioning autism. He was outcasted by the town because people did not understand him, and he had parents that did not know what they were doing. So there's 3 factors right there. So let's stop. Mind you, this is back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and early 80s. People were not, here in my area, were not educated on mental health or mental disabilities back then. And I say that I think he had high functioning autism is because I have a son with autism, and he and Gerald shared some similar traits. Marcus is smart, super smart. He lacks in communication, and he's considered non-verbal autistic. He could communicate to me in his A's at school. So, but back then, people did not understand that. People are like, well, you don't act like me, so you can't be normal. You know, like, we're going to push you out of the way and make fun of you because you do things weird. Okay, we got that? We got that underneath the wraps here? So let's get to his older life. Another thing with the urban legends is said that he killed both of his parents. No, we actually don't know if he killed his father. He never was arrested for the death of his father. It is assumed that his father fell down the staircase, and this is when they bought the house here in town. And that it is assumed that his father just fell down the staircase, but there is speculation that Gerald pushed him down. But there is proof that Gerald did molest and rape his mother because he had human needs that he did not know how to control or to do with, and no one had taught him how to take care of himself. And I know that sounds really ridiculous. Really, really ridiculous. So, let's get and because of him doing this to his mother, She was taken to state custody. They gave him a permanent no contact order. And they put her in a housing somewhere in the next town over, but legally there was nothing he could do. He was his mother's caregiver, but because of the abuse found in the home, they put a permanent no contact order, and that was it. Now, mind you, this is the 70s. There's a lot going on. You got people going to war, you got people coming home, you got people not coming home, you got people learning, the 70s and 60s was a weird time for American history. Not gonna lie. Okay. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So his mother was taken. Gerald did go berserk. He did have a bunch of dogs and some cats. And he did slaughter them all because they took away his only source of human connection, which was his mother. Yes, mind you, he did do a very bad thing, and I do not condone the things that he did, and neither does my mother. But he did do that. Yes, that was bad. He was arrested sometime in the late 70s for growing marijuana plants in his greenhouse. Yes, after the slaughter of all his animals. Now, people are thinking that he had 50 to 60 animals. No, it was more like 3 dogs and a couple of cats. Well, that doesn't sound any better. Well, I know that doesn't sound any better, but mind you, there was no animal cruelty laws at this time. So, he was never arrested for that, but they did arrest him for growing the marijuana plants, which there was a law for that. Weed was illegal. And still is. So we got that. Later in life, he got out of prison, and he was living in some kind of trailer. He met a woman that we don't know her name. It was speculated, according to my mother, it was speculated that he and her started talking and they got engaged. Now, we're about to get the nitty-gritty about how he disappeared, because there are rumors that he just vanished and never came back. So, this is it's a suspectation of what happened to him. So, according to my mother, he fell in love with a woman. They got engaged. She had a couple of brothers, and they were all children of the chief of the police at the time. Not of equipment, but I don't know whose chief of police he was. I don't even know the man's name. That's just what I've heard. Gerald and the 2 brothers went on a hunting trip, and Gerald never came back. They found him later with gunshot wounds and said it was self-inflicted, but you could probably put the pieces together that wasn't probably the case. But there is no sound proof of this. There is no, at the time the county was like, okay, the local bad man is gone. The local crazy man is gone, so we can just say he self-inflicted gun wounds. So, that is the end of Gerald Bettis, and this was around 81, 82, maybe. No one knows actually when he passed away. I could look up the obituary, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just lazy about that part. I'm not. But my mother did tell me that he wrote The Fine Line of Genius and Insanity. He did write historical articles for the Arkansas Sun, which is now the Sun-Times newspaper. And he would come over and show her the articles and be really proud of it and have her proofread and stuff. But that is the local legend of the Dogboy house. He got that name because he slaughtered animals after he lost his mother permanently. So, before you guys spread around this horrible, horrible legend, please understand that this is a local man that passed away and had a horrible, bullied life. And yes, he did bad things and no one condones them. But at the same time, if people were nice, it probably would not have happened. But, like I said, this is taking place in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and no one knew how to handle mental disabilities then. So before you post about the Dogboy house and Arkansas urban legends, why don't you like stop and take some time and understand that this is a local thing, that most of these urban legends that you have read or watched videos on, they affect local people. And honestly, every time my mom sees these urban legends about lettuce, she cries, because that's not the truth. And so I'm making this video for the truth. And there it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understand that there's always two sides to a story. And unfortunately, we'll never hear Gerald's side of the story because he's passed away. But thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe and share it with your friends, because this is kind of important. Y'all have a good day. Bye.